Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We find ourselves in the Lunaris Temple during the Abyss League, playing our hardcore. Oh, hello there. What's those lines? Something odd's happening here. I've never seen those green lines before. Is that a pointer to corpses? Okay. Welcome to a very odd start of the episode. Let's put it that way. Right, before we're gonna get into it, let's actually explain a little bit of why why some odd stuff is happening right now. Well, if I can at least try. Alright, let's just take a step backwards. So these lines seem to point to corpses. That's a new thing. So if I change this, it still remains. Okay. I have no idea how that happens or why that happens, because I did not see it when I was playtesting a little bit in the Ebony Barracks outside. But for now. Okay, so last episode we picked up Cremate near the end of the episode, or Cremation. So for this episode I want to use it as my main skill just to see what it is like. So as such, it has taken the place of Volatile Dead in the Spirit Shield that grants +1 to socketed fire gems. And as such, it's already level 2 by itself, but it's now level 3 by virtue of the item. So there's decent base damage coming from it. Cremation is a skill that has a lot of properties. It is fire based. It lasts for 8 seconds. It's a spell. When you cast it at a corpse, it explodes the corpse for 4% of the corpse's maximum life. That is what grants it AoE. And then after that, for that 8 seconds, it shoots multiple projectiles per second. And you can have up to 3 of these geysers at a time. Interesting thing, due to how the damage scaling works in Path of Exile. Because this has an AoE component, the concentrated effect support, the more area damage, applies to all damage dealt by the skill. Not just the initial explosion, but also to the projectiles shot out by Cremation, which is something I was not expecting. But, well, tooltip doesn't lie, right? And the tooltip definitely backs it up. It's 200 to 300 fire damage. Take Conk Effect out, and suddenly it's only half of that. Well, a little less than half, more than half. And lastly, I've got chance to ignite in here to further scale fire damage with a more damage thing and to get a pretty good chance to ignite things off. I was initially going to run it with lesser multiple projectiles, so that is going to grant us 2 additional projectiles on top of the 3 additional ones it has by default. So it usually has 4. LMP grants you 6. And I suspect it's just going to be shooting 4 projectiles per second. So if you add more projectiles, it's just going to spin around faster and shoot more projectiles. So greater multiple projectiles is going to add even more and make it spin even faster. So actually it's there for leveling, but we're not really using it. So Volatile Dead is now just a secondary support skill with a chance to ignite attached to it. And I just swapped gems here. It's still there when we need it, especially for hitting casters and things like that. But outside of that, it's relatively alright. So Flammability now has Arcane Surge attached to it. Flammability, as a curse, it is pretty mana intensive. Arcane Surge likes mana intensive skills. So a Flammability with a level 6 Arcane Surge perfectly makes it go off every single time you cast it, which is wonderful. Then we have Desecrate with Spell Cascade. That's our corpse generator. It's still very, very efficient. And at some point, especially because of the addition of Cremate, I was just running out of skill slots. And I was already for a time, I was deciding between going with Desecrate and going for Unearth for corpse generation. Desecrate is simply incredibly efficient. in its current state with Spell Cascade, we cast it once and we generate 15 corpses, which is really difficult to do with Unearth, since that just generates 1 by default. Lesser multiple projectiles or volley grants us no 3 or 5. Then no, with GMP you can even do grant 5 in a single cast, and a Spell Echo could grant you 10. So no, that could be, but it's 3 sockets. And it is a targeted skill. It shoots projectiles, does a bit of damage, so there's a little bit of that. But the downside is that because it's projectiles, you can't shoot up on a slope. Whereas Desecrate generates at a distance, so you can use it to generate corpses up on a slope. And therefore, with the combination with Bodyswap, you can actually set up a teleport for yourself up on a slope. Because I've been looking for that for a while, whether to go with Bodyswap or with Flame Dash, and I think just to stay in theme, I'm gonna go with Bodyswap, and I'm just right now just experimenting a little bit with putting it on the left mouse button as my movement replacement. So whenever I want to move somewhere, if there's no corpses, I move. If there's a corpse, I go there and I explode the corpse, dealing damage to everything in the area. Just see if that works out or whether it's going to be incredibly frustrating, but I do have the move only on the middle mouse as a backup. So there's lines pointing that way. That's because there's corpses there. Okay. I have no idea where it comes from. Well, we're just going to see. So Cremate is pretty efficient. It's the initial explosion is only 4% of the corpse's maximum life. It's a little bit amplified by the modifiers we've attached to it. But the initial explosion really is not gonna do much for you. The projectiles, however, hurt like hell. Even with 2 support gems, they already hurt like hell. Okay, let's trigger the Abyss and see whether this was a really bad plan or whether it actually is going to work out pretty well for me. Okay. Not being able to pick up the orbs is actually a bad deal. Okay, you know what? This was not a good plan. Let's not do that. Also, turns out the Abyss went this way. No, flammability, cremate. Just shreds rares. Okay, whoa, corpses. Okay, now that we got volcanoes all over the place, we add the fiery orbs. And yeah, is it moving forward? Yes, it is. Oh, goody.
Orb of fusing.
Okay. Just get some cremates up and then just turn the rest of the corpses into Volatile Dead. And I don't think the game is really liking... Actually, interesting. Someone alerted me on the fact that in one of the videos the frame rate tanked a little bit in the Solaris Temple fight. But no, here there's a lot of fire stuff going on. But if I have a look at the graph, the frame time and everything was pretty much okay. But it was indeed my capture program OBS that had difficulties keeping up with it, which is interesting. I never had it that OBS actually slowed down the recording in any way, because usually it just keeps up. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye out for. So I do apologize for that fight. Probably was not the most ideal. Also, there's someone with friends cannot die. So that means you're just all gonna die. And I really wonder if these lines are just some odd debug thing that has been triggered or whether it is a feature. Let's quickly go back here and see if there's anything I left behind, because I did rush through here for a bit. Yeah. Seems like things went relatively alright. Okay, let's push forward then. Shouldn't the Grand Inquisitor dude be here? Actually, he should have been in the previous room. Did I accidentally just murder him along with the rest of the fight? Oh, Soul Eater, that's... Put some fire underneath your feet. Look at that. Wonderful. Great helmet with 4 links. That is a treasure. It's already 1 tier lower than I would like it to be, but... Well, I can't always be picky. No, you can, but shouldn't. Yeah. And still, plenty of corpses remain. Yeah, it's only the... It seems only the fights where there's a lot of fire effects going on that OBS is like, well, not quite keeping up here. Or it could be that the in-game thing is just not reporting things accurately, since they seem to calculate the latency and frame time and everything just tied together. Hello, goodbye. I'll just curse you and then give you some cremates and then some volcanoes. And then you're gone. That went rather well. Okay, so I think my conclusion is going to be body swap. Yeah, it's nice and thematic, but I'm definitely not going to use it as my main movement skill. It's pretty dangerous. And I can accept a little danger if it fits in with the theme. Oh, a theme of a build is pretty important. But there are limits. Hello everybody. Yeah. Have a nice warm fire to warm yourselves. I do find myself doing a decent amount of setup work for even just the most trivial fights. That is one of the downsides of this build, because you need corpses to trigger your skills. So you could make an argument that I should run maybe 1 skill that does not require corpses to kill the first enemy, so I can bootstrap it. On the other hand, well, single Desecrate gets me 15 corpses, that's enough for the rest of the fight most of the time. Let's see, let's shuffle these around, pick that one up. It's only against enemies that consume corpses themselves where I'm slightly empowering the enemy. Why is it pointing here? There's nothing here. Really, nothing. That's a very, very odd game. So we're in the Lunaris Temple. So what if we control click, create a new instance, see if the effect goes away? No, it's still odd. Okay. It's always those things, they don't show up in the test recording, and then when you start playing, game behaves oddly. See, that one is there for when we level up. Body swap. Let's take you out. Where did I hide you? Body swap, yeah. You are no longer part of the setup. You are simply too dangerous to use. Then I can just put a spinning aura there just for shows. Is there something that we could use as a setup? Oh, Unearth was kind of a nice setup skill. Funny enough. But no, for now we'll leave that be. Let's go back to Lunaris 2. Let's see if the new instance still has it. Okay, there's no lines here. So good so far. And the lines are back. I'm still curious why I didn't notice it outside, or if it's just something specific to the Lunaris Temple. We'll see once we leave this place. Okay, that's maybe a little too close in. Okay, yeah. Tanking those projectiles myself, not the best of ideas. Leading with Decoy Totem does work. It sends the enemies in the wrong direction. Also, one of the nice things, of course, of Decoy Totem is it clumps enemies together. And both Volatile Dead explosions as well as the cremation skill, they are both area based. So there's an upside to that. I brought along a Murderous Eye Jewel of Insulation, which gives me fire and lightning resistance. Apply, socket, and that nearly maxes out my lightning resist, but I think that's going to be good enough just in time for Piety. Well, timing is everything. Okay, could be that Corpse Slayer is in the back somewhere. Okay, they really do slice through a Decoy Totem pretty quickly. Hello, Corpse Slayer. I thought you would be here. Well, let's curse you. I keep forgetting to do that. No, for the uniques, it's useful to curse them. It's not strictly required yet. But no, the whole thing about building habits and things like that. I'm pretty slow to learn when it comes to building habits and changing habits for that matter, so picking up habits in the correct way, it does help. So I'm backtracking a little bit. There was a way forward there. Let's just actually backtrack a little bit just to make sure I'm not running in circles, because that would make me feel incredibly silly. Also, one thing I'm doing wrong here, or doing suboptimal, maybe that's a better way to put it, is I'm using one Quicksilver Flask first and then the other. I should alternate drinking between them. So whenever I gain charges, it applies to them both rather than just to do one. Because I'm wasting charges that way. Let's see. Let's not be there and then just do it like that. I think if you're gonna play a Meleer and have a cast on melee kill cremate, that is gonna be pretty neat as well. Because then, no, you are already at the corpse. There's probably gonna be other enemies at the corpse, and they'll be dealing pretty decent damage. And it will look pretty, which of course again is half the battle. You guys, let's go over there, into the fire. Wonderful. Oi, sneaky bugger, waiting for me as an ambush. Puddle of blood, he'll never see that coming. Well, you're right. And I don't have to, I'll just boil the blood out of you. Desecrate, Arctic Armor, Desecrate. For this build, technically I don't think you need to level up Desecrate, because we're not doing anything with the... Correct that. It is actually useful to level up Desecrate, because the level of the corpses generated is capped to either the area level or the gem level. And higher level corpses have more health. And of course, because there is a small component that blows up the corpses, having higher health corpses to blow up means that component is gonna do more damage, negligible as it might seem. All the little bits help. That's a 4-link helmet. Let's see, 1 wagon. I think that was it, because 2 wagons was the one that led to a blockade. Oh, you are nicely clumped up there, ladies. Okay. There's mixed enemies. Right, so you're kind of stuck in your rhythm, aren't you? Yeah. Sucks to be you. It's awfully quiet here, and then you go. Wonderful. Okay, and then just fiery orbs for the rest of them, who I might have overlooked. Works decently well. I'll just put down a cremation or two for the center of the fight, and then just orbs for whoever does not want to go to the center of the fight. What about the currency drop? Ah, there. And one more, and then there's the door. Piety is closed now. So one of the things to remember, Volatile Dead, it is really not well spec'd right now. It only has a single support. Yet it still does decent damage. That's one of the nice things to take out of this. It's not bad even when you're not really supporting it. So it can only get better once you actually do start supporting it. Someone mentioned how the targeting behavior of the Volatile Dead seems erratic, and especially once you get to maps, they have a tendency of going after enemies off screen. I've been trying to pay attention to it, but it hasn't seemed odd yet to me. Let's do a little bit of setup here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, curse you, of course. Your boss. That's I mean, you're a little more sensitive. Oh wow, you were actually missing me quite a lot of times. 1, 2, 3 cremates, and whoosh. Well, she never really had a chance, did she? Hey, so at least we can leave that place and see if we can find a place that has no lines pointing all over the place, because that was a little unsettling. And empty them pockets. So let's have a look at the Imperial Gardens. Slightly up now. They've moved the waypoint here a couple of times, so it's a little unnerving, a little unsettling. But hey, look at that. There's no lines pointing from me to all over the place. So that looks like it was a Lunaris thing. Well, we have to be up or down. I think we need to be down there. Yeah. Indeed. It is down. Ooh, strongbox. Quality and caustic clouds. Okay. No corpse detonate, so that is fine with me. 1, 2, 3 cremates. Click it and move away. And then just Volatile Dead for the rest. Works pretty well as a trap. Ochre Scepter, 16% elemental damage. It's blue though. Probably should update my filter to even stop showing blues at this point in the game. Okay, so Imperial Gardens has received an overhaul. It used to be pretty straightforward, so you just followed the road to the waypoint. And then you either went left for the library or right for the tower. And there was a side area to the top that took you to a separate area to the hedge maze that had the Chalice Plum, as well as... Oh, hello there. that had the Titus Plum as well as the Ascendancy Trial. Hedgemaze has been removed from the game and folded into the Imperial Gardens. So I'm curious to see what's... there's a lot of stuff going on here now, that's the upside. Okay, so 3 different cremates together really tanks the frame rate, at least according to OBS. In game everything seems to be fine. Let's just do a little testing. So if you put 1 up, that's okay. If you put 2 up, ticking 55, and the third one is just putting it down to 36. And if I then add more Volatile Dead, it only goes down further, because it's just so much fiery goodness. Even managed to get it below 30 FPS there. Well, right. So if I just try to limit myself a little bit to just 2 cremates, which especially at this point in the game really is enough, it should be fine. Okay, we found ourselves a Titus Plum. And a bunch of orbs. Okay. And again, frame rate tanked. That was not a good thing. Fire effects. Why do you have to be so bad on performance in this game? Okay, so we have at least one a little bit. And there's going to be a waypoint, that's always pretty useful to unlock. Yeah. Oh, it feels like I'm running into the hedge maze right now, so might as well actually be heading towards the trial here. Oh, no, there's a strongbox and something that appears to be part of the walk towards the tower. It explodes, that's fine with me. Oh. That is fine with me. I'm not standing next to it when it explodes. Oh, hello there, Abyss. And indeed, this is the tower. At least that one has been unlocked now. Is there's still supposed to be a waypoint here, right? Yeah, there is. And then the library, and then the tower, okay. Okay, like that. 1 cremate, 2 cremate, bunch of orbs, and it runs off this way. Follow the little gap in the floor, curse the enemies. Yeah, Soul Eater, so that's, you just need to really do a lot of damage quickly, otherwise killing his friends, he's gonna just eat their souls. And heal a little bit. Oh, hello there. Enemy that I don't really want to be toe-to-toe with. It's almost like he's doing phase runs or something. Yeah, abysses are definitely gonna be a performance issue this way. But in order to stay alive, I do feel like I need to spawn as many fiery objects as possible. Because if the enemy is not standing still, then, or no, if the enemy doesn't stop spawning, then neither should I do that. Another skill point. So right now our damage output is actually pretty decent, so going for the damage bonuses over here might not even be the best of ideas. Instead, heading down towards Tireless to just increase the size of my life pool might be a much better idea. So let's actually do that. Oh, it is hardcore after all, so prioritizing survival is a good idea. Okay, so no, we opened the door. At least I'm rid of the key now. That's good. Oh, and if I'm getting beset by enemies and there's no corpses nearby, Volatile Dead is the answer. So let's backtrack this road and see where it leads us. A waypoint, that is wonderful. So how does this fit in with the larger picture? This is the start, we follow the road, and then there's a branch to the left, which seems to go to the waypoint, and a branch to the right, that goes to the Chillis Plum. Okay, that seems agreeable. And then we have the library over to the other side, I'm assuming. Yeah, okay, so it does make sense. Oh, there's a trial still, right? Yeah. Haven't done a trial yet. So let's do the trial. Now then, we just complete the area. And since I scouted out most of the place already, ought to be doable. Is this a dead end? This is a dead end. Okay, there's a couple of you. Again, maze-like features, and a trial is ahead. You have yourself a volcano. Marvelous. You're a little too far away, so let's just orbify you. And do the trial of ascendancy. Also known as just run through and ignore most of the mechanics, because you can't get away with it. Okay. And then there's our portal out. It always feels like one of the weakest of the trials, because it is so easy to ignore the mechanics. So you're not really forced to learn the mechanics, and then you get punished for it later. So we've got one thing remaining, and that is the... Oh, actually there's two things remaining. There's the library and there's Dominus. So I think I'm just going to split this up into two parts. So next episode we're going to tackle the library, and after that we're going to go after Dominus. And then Act 3 is done. But for now, I'm going to thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.